Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it's a little chillier. It's going to be in the 40s or 30s tonight, so we'll try to get the animals comfortable. And the sun is out and there's not much wind, so it's pretty nice. The news today is all about journalism, or the absence of it. Tucker Carlson and at Fox News and Don Lemon at CNN both lost their positions at their respective networks. Tucker Carlson, as you may remember, in connection with the Dominion case, came up very ungallantly given his remarks about a variety of subjects. So why do we think he left? Well, there are several possibilities that strike me. I wondered if being in Maine at his private studio, which is what he did, was put him too far from the denizens on 6th Avenue in Manhattan. Possibly. But I don't think it helped that he was revealed to hate Trump and be glad when he was no longer a subject of coverage, given that Murdoch and others considered him plainly a big boost to their viewership and their branding. So that's one thing that bothers. Now, you get a little curious what they were thinking when he had 3.32 million viewers on average a night with his show. That's a lot of eyes, that's a lot of subscriptions and so forth. But he's going to get to go the way of O'Reilly. I mean, he's made all sorts of statements, even when he wasn't on the air. And one he made, a famous statement, was that immigration makes U.S. dirtier. So he made these statements about Trump. He made these statements about different issues that were coming up. He criticized the staff at Fox when they were insisting on telling the truth about the elections. And our boy Tucker Carlson was saying they're ruining our brand. In other words, they needed to lie to keep faithful those Trumpites that watch Fox to get their fill of Trump marginalia. So, but I wondered if one of the biggest reasons might be about litigation. That is, in the course of the litigation, one of his producers, Abby Grossberg, she was, in her mind and in her lawsuit, felt threatened by the lawyers for Fox who were trying to encourage her to forget things, to not remember them. And she got her own lawyer and sued them for that. But as she was the adjunct to Carlson, she was in a position to be familiar with Rudy Giuliani saying basically, we don't have the goods on Dominion in terms of software. Also, he doubted that, Pelosi was part of anything having to do with Dominion, although that was said. He said that he'd heard it, but he didn't have any proof of it. That's pretty strong for Rudy Giuliani, who had a very low threshold for lying, wouldn't lie about that. And yet, that became part of the story on air. Now, Carlson, if I'm right, he didn't make that story on the air. But the web, the machinery, the springs and wheels between these people and what they did to journalism on behalf of really helping Trump overcome the election that he lost. Now, the judge wasn't going to allow that into the trial, that is the January 6th insurrection. But that insurrection and these lies on Fox and so forth were all part of that piece. So what do we have? Well, first of all, we have good riddance. Carlson's gone. That's good news. Why he may be gone may not have as much to do with honest journalism as the enemies he picked, despite the amount of money he brought to Fox. So Carlson is no more there, and I suppose he'll have a podcast soon. The bottom line is, well, what about Hannity and the others? And Carlson may have put himself in a special place. And so after the time he was with Fox, it amounts to nothing. Although they did thank him for his years of service as a host and as a contributor before that. So the public language was, gentle. But obviously the actions were not at all. And Fox News will have other hosts trying out his position late at night until they find someone else up to Fox's low standards. Now, over at CNN, we had Don Lemon, who years ago I appeared on CNN more regularly. But I started appearing elsewhere. And frankly, I enjoy appearing with Ari for a whole variety of reasons, and including the fact that in Don Lemon's show, it goes from 10 to 11, or it did. So that was good because it wasn't a conflict with what else I do, but it was late, and it was a school night, meaning I usually had to go to work the next day. So. And they sent the car for you. It's not complaining. I was treated well, but there were things about it, having a career as a real lawyer, that made it difficult. And I thought he was always fair to me, and I liked him. But as time went on, he had these gaffes, and the gaffes were about important issues. And maybe the straw that broke the camel's back, or so it appears, is when he commented on a presidential candidate talking about, who and what age was appropriate to be running for president. He made a remark about the candidate's age, and she was a woman, and he commented about her prime years, and her co-host took her to task, rightly so, and he didn't seem to grasp it, and that's the tragedy of the piece, because it seems to me they had the energy to fight for the facts, but over time it's very difficult if you're going to talk every day on a variety of subjects and be inspired and improvise on the set. Well, you increase the chances of saying something that'll get you in hot water. We say sticks and stones will hurt your bones, but names will never hurt you. Well, actually, it does. Reputation, profession, the effect on people that may or may not be misrepresented, not necessarily slandered. So, he's gone, and he's upset about it because he spent 17 years with CNN, and he said he was completely surprised and didn't see it coming. And there are 2 years left on his contract, and there's probably going to be a messy fight. So that's the news worth commenting on today, I think. How we cover the news, who covers the news, how they do it, how much opinion is right. When do we cancel a person or persons for veering off what is journalistic value, a demeanor, and a conduct that upholds the principles of journalism and honors the First Amendment in its accuracy and its deliberate consideration of the issues. So I never thought that Carlson had it. I did think that Don Lemon did. But you know, your principles don't mean much if you can't apply them to yourself and to those that you think are doing a good job until they're not. So that's the way it is. And like I said, it's a nice day out and my leg's getting stronger. And somebody asked me, why don't I show sweat? And it's the wind takes it away. The southern ladies have a mist, and I've tried to do what I can to adapt myself to that mist. And so I'm glad that you could join me as I walk among my cathedral of trees, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Bye-bye.